you'll get to hear some of the best work of our 3 juniors, and that's Azul Serrano, Leo Yang, and Rome Smaui. Azul's going to be kicking things off. This is her first year here. She's originally from Mexico. And in her short time here, she's already demonstrated great growth in her fiction and her poetry writing. So tonight you're going to be hearing a really lovely poetry collection about love. But she's also in the midst, probably like 170 pages into a dystopian novel. So she's working a lot in both genres. Leo has been here for 3 years. He's originally from Vancouver Island. And his work has been recognized by the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards every year that he's been here. He has particularly focused on developing his longer fiction, but that's not to say that he's not a poet as well. He's also grown considerably as a poet, and I think you'll hear that in he's going to be reading fiction tonight, but I think you'll hear that skill with poetry in his fiction writing. Rome has been here for 2 years. She is originally from Tunisia, and she's the junior editor of Parallax. She was the first place winner of the 2019 Roadrunner Review High School Writing Competition, and she also won the 2019 Parallax Award. Her work has been published in Sonder Midwest and has also been recognized by the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards. And she has a stunning mix of poetry and fiction to read to you tonight. So let's get started by welcoming Azul.
Hello. My name is Azul, and today I'm going to be reading a poetry collection about love. I'm going to start with a quote from Corinthians 13. Love is patient, love is kind, and envies no one. Love is never boastful, nor conceit, nor rude, never selfish, not quick to take offense. Love keeps no score of wrongs, does not gloat over another's sins, but delights in truth. There is nothing love cannot face, there is not limit to its fate, its hope, and its endurance. In a word, there are 3 things that last forever: faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of them all is love. My first piece is called What is Love? It's an introduction to the collection. What is love? Love is a desire of the human flesh, an involuntary spasm of deep affection resembling our hearts. Love is a perpetual dread, a vast emptiness in our stomach, making your lungs collapse. The reality crumbling down like a no piece of bread to feed the birds in the gray concrete. Love is a shadow in your soul, a tattoo in your side, giving someone else the power to destroy you. I would like to lose the ability to love, because if I don't love you, I will not lose you. Love is a shout into the void. This next piece is called Because I Want to Die from Love. And what is love? What is love without doubt, without resentment, without knowing that we're falling to each other's looks? What is love? Love is an unconditional sickness, 104 Fahrenheit fever, a library hide in a cave, where we do signs with our hands while it's deep and dark, knowing that no one can see us. Love is a bond between souls, something as believable as God that can bring peace to the soul or cross your heart without previous warning. And what is love? What is love without fake promises, without knowing that the thread you're pulling is your own death? Your body screaming, hurt me. What is love without the nights I cried for you, eating Ben & Jerry's ice cream while I watched 10 Things I Hate About You after a Beck's love? What would love be without saying I love you like an empty soda can, without knowing the worth of those 3 words? What is love without a hug, without a kiss, without those confusing feelings that make you hand twist your hair while you stare at the guy you like from the corner of the classroom. And what is love? A bitter taste in chocolate that I'm allergic to, a withered tulip that has to be taken care of, despite its beauty, its destiny, its death. Love is poison, a drug that you get addicted to, just like the way you fall asleep. Slowly and then all at once. But please, please, give me more. My next piece is called Nocturne for a Stranger. I'm trying to go to sleep, but I can't help thinking about the milky skin that has conquered my dreams. You're as sticky as a dance monkey song plays inside my head every time someone mentions your name. Those Sunday church afternoons with you when there's no more than how are yous and amens, secretly rubbing in each other's arms, at the eyes of the wooden cross, bring a smile while I'm asleep, hoping for the possibility of my sweaty hand to hold yours. I have this blanket poison that you injected into my veins, making my sides tremble. I pray for my hugs to never end and for your shadow to become real. So I'd say goodnight and kiss your cheek, but I wish I could deny that I'm falling in love with you. You're a ghost disappearing in the middle of our conversation, a stranger, which thinking I'm not able to undress. It's smart to go slow, to be sure if the soul that you're stepping in, it's safe. But in love, there's no proof that we won't leave unharmed without scratches, speaking falls, trophies, shouting games. I wish that your silence became words, a code of unspoken feelings. I know that you know I want to know if you're unable to sleep too. You're always in my head. Am I in yours too? Good night, stranger. This next piece is called I Wish I Could Say I Love You, Mom. There's a tooth piercing my body. White walls, cold air coming from the closed windows. This steam kissing the glass in this fall crashed night sky. The blankets that are supposed to warm me up gives me goosebumps. I can feel the cold liquid from the IV driving into my veins, my forehead dripping frozen sweat, pieces of cloth grabbing my hands as Christmas gifts, preventing my nails to scratch my already sick, bleeding skin. The nurse comes inside, interrupting my disturbing sleep. I look at her closely, but it's just like a blurry image in my numb brain. A drop of blood comes out of my nose and stays my hospital gone. I turn my side to the dropper of the IV and start counting slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 drops of saline solution. The mask in my face is foggy as the windows all around the hospital. My breath is heavy, so hard that you can see my lungs coming out of my chest, like if they want to run away, run for the first time through pine trees without getting an asthma attack. My eyes are red from all that fighting, my soul is tired. Even in the bed, it feels like laying on rocks with the sun burning your pupils. Then I hear a strong shout in my head rumbles, it hurts. I have this color inside my throat that doesn't let me breathe. Some stranger just performed a tracheotomy without asking my body if it wanted to live. This fake lungs machine ties me close to that and makes my fingertips purple. My legs and my hands tingle. My mouth starts bleeding too. I can feel a taste of the cold metal in my tongue as my teeth keep biting my right cheek. My head falls looking down and my body starts shaking. My sight gets every time more blurry, and the last thing I see is some nurses coming into the room, running. I wake up. The sunlight coming out of the window warms my blankets, burning my naked legs. They took away my handcuffs, random marks on my wrist popping in my skin. My arms covered with bandages filled with yellow brownish liquid that comes out from the wounds that my body decided to stain since I was a little kid. My mom comes into the room. She brought me 2 bags full of ice and puts it in the upper parts of my elbows to calm my itchiness. She gives me a fake smile and sits down by my side. The drops come off my eyes from crying in silence. Without being able to say a word to my mom, my body starts shaking again, desperate to talk, but my mom sings softly to calm me down. She grabs my hand with gentleness. I can feel her love in her warmth, but I can't stop crying. I have this burning liquid coming from my stomach, crossing my lungs and my throat, hurting more and more and more every time I try to hold my breath to not sob. I can feel my mom's hands petting my sensitive skin and her face with a couple light tears in her cheeks, showing me a smile that just wants to cry until the room floods in water. Her love gives me comfort. Seeing her right now just brings peace into my heart. Even if my lungs hurt, I feel happy because she's with me. I can see the sorrow in her eyes deeply. She hides her feelings, not showing her suffering, being strong for her daughter, as always trying to protect me. At this point, I can't hold this up anymore. How much I wish I could speak to her, saying, "I love you" would be enough. But there's a tooth piercing my body. I cannot even turn my neck to see her full face. She just keeps backing up, and my eyes tries to follow her shadow the farther as they can, but it's helpless. While she carries me, I can feel her hand shake. She's afraid to let me go. She just keeps waving her head, saying, "Please God, help my kid, help my daughter. She deserves to have a life, because if you didn't took her away from me when she was born, please do not take her right now. Do not play the thief role in this play." My eyes start to close again. They feel heavy as my breath, but I pray to not fall asleep, because I'm afraid that this could be the last time I close them. And the next thing I see is my Creator in the white light from heaven. The next poem is called A Flor de Piel, and it's dedicated to my dad. You are wintering in a heart, a tattoo full of memories, a wise old, a toad's monkey. Mi padre, when you give me advice, mi amigo, when my heart is broken. You taught me to write love letters when there's no love, letters without addressee, with the voice of dead poets. My letters now revive living men. Words taught me to reveal my soul. Writing is now a passion we both share. Cartas, letters, they give you a hand but never my heart. You sang, sabes que siempre hallarás un pasaje en mi corazón, por si tú quieres volar, por si decides volar. You carry me in you like a skin's flower, where I always found warmth in those jagged hands that carry me as a baby and now coach me to fight the world. I am your daughter, your letter born out of the ashes, your seed of faith. As the delicate petals of a flower, my feelings are floating and my bones are vulnerable. But my only death, eres tú, mi hija, mi ángel, my most precious flower. My last piece is called Elegy to My Broken Heart. Today I wear tennis shoes to run out my mind, a hoodie to be comfortable because my wounds sting. My stomach is chewed down by my own teeth. A lemon called love was squeezed in my eyes. My head gets heavier as the pieces of my heart flutter within my body in their way to the skies, where they will crash in the dark universe and become isolated stars. A broken heart is the almighty writer, the most pensive gym membership. My foolish heart harmed myself as I pronounced the 3 forbidden words. Even if you loved me, your pure heart wasn't brave enough. It was a privilege that you broke my heart. My soul has been fleet, my interior floats in an ocean of acid. Now I'm trapped in this cage, made of my bones and my hopes. Your words gave me wings, but when I tried to fly, you became a knife and tore them apart. This poem is not about angels, but of your soul playing indie songs, while mine ballads for this non-existent, lonely, loop, lost love. This pain demands to be felt, helped if they are failed, my conqueror. I stand at the blue grave, staring at the letter E that destroyed my smile. I weep in the lowest tones of a cello, breaking the speaker from the phone, while you hear my silence at the other side of the mute call. Call to the boys that killed me. I pull the thread of my own death. This ache is ironic, as I never felt the warmth of your body and the taste of your tongue. The ghost of my dreams hurts. A shadow between the pines, seeking my soul to be rejected and burying my body outside to nothing. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Leo Yang, and tonight I will be reading the first section of my short story titled The Dinner Party, subtitled Pigeons and Prey. If after my reading of this story you're interested, please come to the Parallax reading on April 24th, where I will be reading the latter half of the story. Please note that this is a work of fiction, and I do not endorse any of the ideas here presented. What's your name? Asked the taxi driver. I quickly thought of something common and agreeable. Ken, I answered, sitting immobile in the back seat, both frozen by my words and by the conditions. I dared not reveal my true identity under any circumstances, nor have I ever. As if testing my ability to lie, the taxi driver added another of his pre-prepared, mundane questions, and I couldn't help but sprinkle in some morsel of truth. It would do no harm after all. Where are you from, Tim? His voice was like a bass clarinet. Just around these parts. Haven't been back in a while. Though this was somewhat true, my expression said otherwise. I began to look out at the icy glare-coated windows, at the salted sidewalks, and the grated, melting masses of snow that clumped together on the roadside. The light outside, tinted to inadequacy by the taxi's windows, was the only light that met my features, though even if the cabbie did manage to catch the angles of my visage at intervals, it would not have much of an effect on my current assignment. I don't catch many people from around these parts, mostly tourists. You coming to visit your family? No, I responded after a pause. They live in Richmond. And I decided to add half-mindedly, lots of pigeons there. Though the former was false, the latter was another truth. My family lived among the pigeons, but then again, you could find pigeons in many parts of the world. Yeah, exclaimed the cabbie, growing somewhat irritated. So why are you going to real headquarters? You got business with those folks? I decided to play another riskless gamble on this one. Yes, I'm a secretary, I said, and noticing that my words sounded utterly vague, I looked into the dark silver mirror to see if he was staring at me. He wasn't, and I continued. For a very media conglomerate, we've come to strike a deal with the Rilks. I studied the battered passenger side seat before me, its aged features made discernible only by the light of the streets. I'd rarely ridden in taxis throughout the entirety of my life. My family had been too high for it. This was a change in style, and I did not mind it. In fact, I even liked to be among the commoners. There was something romantic about it, but only because I knew that I was above most people, including that cabbie. I could tell that he was a commoner from the inane, chilled questions he posed. When I looked up once more, I found the driver's eyes in the mirror. I couldn't see most of his face, which avoided the light of the street and dashboard, but I could make out his shining eyes. They were round, light, and wide like those of a bird, unaware of their own broadness and possibly unaware of many things. A mutated voice that didn't seem to come from him, then asked me a startling question. Why are you taking the taxi if you work for those people? His voice was lethargic and amused, as if addressing a child's unbelievable yarn. Look, bud, I said, half mocking his conduct. I'll pay you extra if you stop asking me questions. How about that? Yeah, sure. I could tell he was chuckling to himself. I wasn't shocked that a taxi driver like him would accept bribes so easily, if he even knew that this was a bribe. They were self-interested. If you were to put them in a classy tower with a cigar, some ice brandy, and a whole lot of money, they'd be practically indiscernible from the tycoons. I was only momentarily thankful for this silence, however. I soon grew nauseated, irritated by his presence. I looked over at him at what little of his silhouette I could see. He had a particularly large neck, was tall but wide in girth, and his haircut was short, emphasizing the dullness of his appearance. He drove without paying much attention to the road, looking at the sidewalk in intervals, as if a bag of calf would suddenly appear out of nowhere. A complete pigeon, I thought, just like everyone, like my own family, only he isn't as powerful. Yes, the taxi driver was a pigeon. Most people are nothing more than pigeons. They have the ability to become something greater than mundane and passive birds, but they never try. I can attest to this because I was once also a pigeon, but I tried to become something more. And I like to say that I succeeded in doing so. What I had become isn't exactly recognized in pigeon society as admirable, even though it should be. Some might call me a criminal, but not all criminals are beyond pigeonhood. Most, I say, are pigeons themselves. They commit crime for the sake of riches or hate or jealousy or other such superficial emotions. There is a great distinction between one who is labeled a criminal for pettiness and one who is labeled a criminal for deeds like my own. The only similarity between a pigeon criminal and a criminal as myself, the only reason they are both labeled criminals is because they act against the principles of society. Arbitrary pigeon principles and pigeon society, I might add. I looked around myself and let out an uneasy breath, which, soon after transfiguring into a warm haze, was briefly smothered by the darkness. Though I'd learned how to keep calm when tense, this time it would be more difficult. I tried focusing on trivial sensations, such as how rigid the seat was, how the cabbie hadn't locked the doors, how the bulge in my suit pocket caused discomfort, and I reminded myself that this was the right thing to do, that it would be no different from my previous assignments. Soon, I found myself looking outside once more. The scenery hadn't changed. If this were a city I'd never been to, I'd be looking out the windows in a sort of earnest curiosity, trying to take in all the novelties that had never before stimulated my mind. But the scene outside was so bleak and obvious and recently familiar that it made me focus more on my nausea, induced by the cold, lingering cigarette scent within the taxi. Yes, another lie I told the driver. I'd been around here, the city of my birthplace, plenty of times recently. He'd probably even seen me before, just a few days before then, as he likely has since I was a kid. A pigeon kid in the city of pigeons, raised by a family of cursed pigeons. My family were and are pigeons. I doubt that will ever change about them as long as their existence revolves around protecting their frivolous little interests. Only I, among all of them, have been capable of exterminating their powerful infestation of mind worms. And I am thankful that I was able to do so before their corruption took hold of me. Yet the rest of my family had never been so lucky as I, and had always chosen to continue ignoring the reality of their pigeonhood and thinking themselves noble eagles. It always disappointed me that though I was fashioned after them, I could venture down such a divergent path. My pigeon family is one of the richest in the United States, conceivable, for I have yet to discover a rich family that have not also been pigeons. But my mother is scarcely known. My father's name, the late Harris Howardson Roke, is famous enough to attract the ears of a few. He was the owner of the hydraulic fracturing company Frack & Co., which he inherited from my grandfather. My grandfather, in turn, inherited the company from my great-grandfather, who started it after his factories were destroyed during the Second World War. If I had accepted the teachings of my father, if I had accepted luxury at the cost of truth, succumbing to his corruption, I would have become the next CEO of my pigeon family's industry. It was an enticing prospect. At first, when I was younger and eager to familiarize myself with politics and economy, I ravenously consumed the outrage propaganda that my father paid alternate media outlets to produce. I had also gained insight from my father on the corrupt nature of his corporation he was preparing for me to succeed him, which he justified with libertarianism, bordering on anarcho-capitalism. It was clear to me that the only goal life prescribed him was the accumulation of capital, but I found nothing wrong with that. It was in university when I realized how most of my beliefs had been complete folly, and how my father had been flirting with the demagogues for selfish interests. It was also then when I became ostracized by my family, and once my father had died around a few years ago, my younger half-brother, Daniel, from whom I'd been separated for most of my life, succeeded him as a CEO of Kraken Co. It pains me to think that much of his blood is my own, yet my brother, capable of the same realizations as I, had never given in to the reason and collective well-being. It pains me that he masks himself as a benign benefactor of the masses while exploiting them through the most unscrupulous of methods. It pains me further when he then indirectly spreads propaganda to the people, such as individualist half-logics and trickle-down economics, to defend himself if he should ever be questioned for his capitalistic actions. But it pains me most to think that I am all alone, the sole eagle in this family of pigeons. The closer we came to my destination, the colder the scenery began to feel and appear, not in temperature. In fact, here the streets and sidewalks were almost entirely cleared of snow, but in design, in lifelessness, and now in disgusted familiarity that I had once thought the scenery comforting. The concrete buildings around me had progressed to prodigious heights, and the synthetic white lights that luminesced from their symmetric windows, like visors, seemed to deprive the scenery of a mere property of temperature. Gone were the ardent street lamps, and in their place were colorless street lights, much like those in the skyscrapers, that were far brighter, yet unnervingly artificial. These lights exhibited the spotless sidewalks, dull in color save for the occasional red newspaper rack, and berthed by equally colorless cars. Oddly, there were still none that drove by on the road. I detested this city, especially this district, even though I'd grown up here. Where my fondness truly lay was back in the town of my university, with its deciduous trees that merged with the roads and the buildings, whose leaves were perpetually twinkling and animated by the cloudless and vast skies. For it was there that I'd gotten out of my pigeonhood. It was there that I was given a purpose. It was there that I had joined the party. The first meeting I had attended of the parties had taken place in a repurposed classroom, their gleaming flag hanging horizontally upon the front wall. In the taxi then, I wore this flag pinned above my heart so that I would not be blinded by its warm winds and irrationality. I always did this for important events, knowing of the guiding principles of its unquestionable verity. However, when I first beheld this flag, I thought that the symbol emblazoned upon it was a white, glowing heart, but I was soon corrected. It wasn't a heart. The heart was too low and untrue an object. Rather, the symbol's formula and angles represented technical perfection, and thus truth. And I knew that it was faithful to all that it symbolized, for within the meaning, the party's leaders had expounded the materialist and utterly infallible tenets of their ideology. They'd said that all hitherto existing advancement in human history had been achieved by taking away certain rights of the people, many of which were coincidentally harmful, so that their ever-present instinct, illogic, and inner barbarism may be extinguished, and that they may conform to living in harmony with their brethren, not by protecting their rights, which do not even exist outside of a scrap of paper. The average citizen, though well-intentioned, is effectively a gullible and irrational fool, governed still by the animalistic instincts that humans have evolved with through the past 100 millennia. The pillars of society could not be entrusted to savages, much less if the great goal of society were to be its advancements to heights presently unfathomable. And time again has this shown itself, if not for the propaganda surrounding democratic institutions in these United States, if not for the false illusion of control so as to benumb the pigeons. Delude them. If not for the propaganda surrounding democratic institutions in the United States, if not for the false illusion of control so as to benumb the pigeons, delude them of fairness and normalcy, all by the yoke of the oak pigeons to protect private capital, then there should have been an overthrow of the oak pigeons long ago. As I was walking back to my dorm room that day, the evening sun amber and vibrant, the wind gusty and blowing about the leaves of the trees that lined the street, I reflected on what they had said. I could find no fault with any of it. From that day forth, I knew their cause was one greater than all the pigeon parties and ideologies in the nation, in the world even. And thus did I come to follow them, the first of many, for it was the only path that was right. It was then that I'd become something more than a pigeon, but not yet a bird of prey. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for coming and staying. My name is Rome, and I will be reading a short fiction piece and then a couple of poems. The first piece is titled Amina's Window. Amina and Shamsa spent their summer stalking the sun from their living room window. Their mother was always out for work or praying, her forehead kissed, pinned against the sajeda. They were young and sunful. They assembled forts with chairs and blankets. They ran around stark naked with the curtains shut. They made messes, spilled water in the kitchen, turned the table on its stomach, and took to the seas, pretending to be pirates. It was love unlike any other love. They were sisters, little hand-holding souls. They cried together, cried for each other, screamed together, tore the walls with crayons, slept on the same mattress, dreamt the same dreams, and they were absolutely forbidden to leave the house while their mother was gone for work. And for a while, this did not cuff their imagination. They did everything their house allowed them to. They built everything their hands could dream up. But summer was long and echoed friendless. The days slowly dried up for Amina, and Shamsa was too young to understand that paper planes were just paper, and that the sun was just the sun if a window was in the way. It irritated Amina, stretched her boredom, because she was experiencing it alone. She did a lot of waiting for her mother to come back from work, waiting for the day to start again, then end. That morning, she watched her mother in the early dawn. She waited for her to finish her salat and said, "Mama, you're here and then you're gone. You go and then you come back. And all the other kids have a papa for them. They have a papa to go to work and a mama to love them. How come you do both?" What she was really trying to say was, "Thank you for staying. My darling." Amina was watching her mother's eyes in the mirror, but her mother was looking elsewhere. If a woman wants to make something, she must push it out from between her legs, and then she must love it. It is her duty. She is a mother to something the minute she is a woman. If a man wanted, he could be anything and go anywhere and not come back. "Mama, let me go with you today." "Oh, Mama soul, my darling, my sweet, sweet girl." Her mother was mothering, and it looked to Amina like gold. And she too wanted to love something so much as a mother loved. "If only I could put you back inside of me and take you everywhere I go. Ya Rab, protect my daughters, Ya Rab." Their mother was always quick in shutting the door. Okay. Sometimes her voice slipped right past her. Sometimes she'd turn around and say, "Lock the door, don't go anywhere," or "Bismillah," with a sigh, like it was dragging her out the door. They watched her dress every morning, how she'd put her breasts away, cupping them like flowers. Then she'd slip into layers, and her skirt would fall to her feet. They watched her cover all of her skin, knowing that it only belonged to them, that one day they would belong to someone too, skin of their own skin. When their mother came home, she would peel the layers off like artichoke petals, and then she would become the center, the green heart. Without the layers, she was soft like butter. They would press their cheeks to her bare shoulders and put their fingers in her hair like milk cascading down her back. They could drink her up. It was a ritual. They held their breaths as they watched. First, she ties it in a bun, then slips on a bonnet, then wraps the hijab around and around like it was orbiting a white moon. They would play with their hair after, stick their heads out of the window, wait for the dumb summer breeze to blow it behind their shoulders, like tides, they imagined, like black tides. They knew they would have to put it away someday too, but for now they let their hair take the wind in handfuls. Amina watched her mother leave for work that day. She sat by the window, no breeze. Shamsa was sitting in a bucket full of water behind her, damping the carpet, using yellow dishwashing soap for endless foam towers. She could hear voices talking at Amina. The neighborhood boys came around on red bikes, wearing brown sandals. They blocked the daylight with their postures, and it curled around their ears, barely blowing their short hairs. One of them, Amina knew very well, Samir. He had his mouth rounded like a volcano, had a certain drool when he spoke. "What you staring at, sheep?" He tilted his chin at Amina in her window. "You the sheep," Amina yelled back, edging against the threshold. She squinted as if to hear them better, her eyelids coming together like drapes. "Sheep in the house day in and day out. In July they're gonna come cut your head and eat you for Eid," said Samir. "I'll cut your head, Dumbo," Amina yelled. "Yeah? Catch me." Samir was a storm on his bike. Behind Amina, Shamsa spilled out of the bucket. "No, me," she yelled. Amina looked at her for a second, barely registering her damp hair, her little brown body covered with patches of foam. The thought came to her like a wave, tickled her feet, brushed up her sleeves. Before Shamsa could protest, Amina threw one leg over the other and met the ground with her knees. She pulled the house gate wide open and ran like a small missile. Shamsa yelled behind her from the window, but the window drifted far away and the boys chanted sheep. Amina felt devoured by the streets, by the long rows of houses. She ran and her shadow ran, and the sun broke the sky with its orange teeth. She thought about giving birth to a time machine later on that night, but at that moment she ran, testing the limits of freedom. She stayed out with the boys, playing with dirt and wind. She was a boy with the boys. Boys who didn't have to hide their hair, their knees, their shoulders. Boys who held their arms like wings. The boys, the boys, the boys. She stayed out until the sky blackened, until her mother came running down the street, hands in the air, screaming thunder. She dragged Amina by her hair. "Allahu Akbar, God take you, God, my heart will stop," her mother howled. The boys were silent on their bikes, each folding their lips under their teeth. Amina yelled, cried, turned into salt. When they reached the house, everything was silent, and little Shamsa was gone. Gone like the wind through an open window. This next collection this is actually an excerpt from a collection, a poetry collection, and it comes in 3 parts. So this is chapter 13. Poem as it is for love. I undress myself of silk, of soul, poem as it is for love. For love, I cannot think of what to say. Most of the time, I'm holding it like sea glass, like oysters, like something that might dissolve if I opened my mouth to breathe. And it does the opposite of what I expect it to, and it hardens, steals my constant need to touch other hearts. And most of the time I am underwater or writing like I am running out of oxygen. Like at a party and all the lights turn a certain shade of blue, turn inside out, turn to pieces, and I think, my guts for Sunny's dance floor. I look at the ceiling and imagine what water might do to my abundance of gravity. Poem as it is for Sunny. Constantly, I think you are constipated with things to say, and your eyebrows sharpen like swords on your forehead. And I think, some war you are having with yourself. But I am having a war with myself over the war I think you're having. And every time I look at the space between someone's thinking, I see war and war and war and mountains of waters, mountains of things to say, so sink and lull and say. home as it is for whoever cares. And most of the time, I am not invited to the party, anyway, which is offensive because I like the electric lights, and I love like the size of Sunny's nose. And Sunny is catching what I'm thinking is everyone's party sweat in his sleeves. He's dancing with everyone but me, and it hardens my heart with joy. I want to be barefoot at the party, but I am afraid. There I go, heartless, and wiping some lipstick from a cup that isn't mine. I am at the party I wasn't invited to, loving with every fiber my body can allow. I want everyone to hold me. I want to put my head on the DJ's mix table, yell, "Send me like the God, please let this be the last EDM song." It's all bad, bad, baby. I'm buzzing below my heels, touching my wrists with glitter. And I think, hell to the DJ. And I take someone's heart and leave with the only guy in the room not wearing a bow tie. And God, I am so sad when surrounded by happy people. And God, do I fold into waves and turn a party to the seas. These last two pieces are the epilogues to this collection. So the first one is titled, Hell to the DJ and Sunny's Dance Floor. Excuse me. Fuck me. I keep walking past the same streetlight, this brilliant artificial sun, this white veil, wearing this long, sad street, and I look at it, and I am dying thinking, God, I was so in love. And I am daring the streetlight to marry my shadow, and I am shaking the urge to see my gray reflection in that fat concrete. Fuck me, I think. Then I open my mouth to say something important. I'm walking past the streetlight after a sad party, and this guy is blasting Bob Marley from his truck. And I want to go over there and tell him how much I wasted, how bad of a DJ I am, much I am. I want to tell Bob Marley guy about how badly I want to dangle my feet in the deep end of Jeremy's pool. And I expect him to understand how exhausted I am of sinking in streetlight, how ready I am to be a pebble for the water. And when I come up, I want it to be full of tides. I want to push up against my imaginary tides. I want everything in tides. I want the wind. I want those ladybugs. I want this street light too. And when I push up against my imaginary tides, his music dissolves and all the voices with important things to say montage. But even fish still live in complete silence. Even water mumbles some static, and everything has a little mouth for little words. Even the streetlights say something, say, look at you. Hell, look at how much of you there is. This last piece is titled, Jeremy, open the pool now. Jeremy, my God. There are 3 girls here desperate to dangle their feet in the pool. Please, dear Lord, let us dangle our feet in the pool. We were not expecting it, the hot fever, the February sun. It so happened that on the first day of February, the sunshine pulled her sleeves against the sky like never before. In my life, I have learned to love the heart of the sun. I have learned the length of my sundress, learned to love the sweat down my back and between my legs. But Jeremy, please, this once, open the pool and let us put our feet in the deep end so we can forgive ourselves. We are ready for the water to be cold as snow, ready to fall in, ready for our hair to stand on its toes. Jeremy, I want the chill. I want its hands on my spine. It is too hot to be outside and too sad to be inside, and there are only so many options. I watch my friends from the window. They are negotiating with Omar, who is the only adult who can perhaps persuade you, Jeremy, to open the pool. Saying things like, damn, Omar, 10 seconds with the water, please. Saying things like, watch how far I can throw this rock. The rock doesn't make it far because everything goes lazy for the sun. I sit there on the other side of the window with a book to fan my face, and all I can think about are the ladybugs in the grass outside. Jeremy, did you know about the ladybugs in the grass outside? Did you love them with your hands or love them at all? Everything that is red on their backs for you, if you please, 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 just open the damn pool. Omar pulls the, sorry, that again. Omar pulls the radio out, an apple to his mouth, and goes, Jeremy, you there? Shh. Yeah, this is Jeremy. Jeremy, I got 3 girls here who absolutely will not live if they don't get to dangle their feet in the pool. So, is there a possibility you could open the pool for them today? They're ecstatic as we wait for Jeremy to be a god and say yes. It is static as the wind brushes our skirts to our knees and then... no. And of course, our faces melt like honey and our eyes butter against the sun. Oh, Jeremy, the ladybugs I could be kissing by the pool, the things I could be seeing from my blue distance. Thank you.